Welcome to the October 20th, 2025 Advance Report from McGowanGroup clients and NetWorthRadio.com listeners. We're going to rapid fire through what just happened in the markets, a false premise, and we're also going to cover what's actually happening in the economy with AI mania. Remember, when you think of AI, I'm going to give you something to think about. Remember where the checks are going. You want to be on the receiving side of the check, not the writing side of the check. And we're about to show you some examples of that. Specifically, they're in our universe that we watch, and sometimes some of them are in the portfolio. Anyway, this is the Dow. Remember, tariffs bad, and we collapsed by 20%, all three indexes, back in April. Seems like a long time ago, because look at 6 months. All right, what happened here? Escalation with China. Now they're working that out too. What's been the pattern? Well, the markets collapse when you hear tariff and trade wars and recession, and it turned out not to be true because it's a negotiation. Wow, the markets have learned that, so we had a little bounce back. We're still below the 47,000, but the Dow's up 10% for the year. All right, here we go. This looks nice. What's that? Nuclear, right? Let's say we're going to build a data center. We need power. Well, it takes a while to build nuclear, and you have to be good at it. Otherwise, you kill people. So BWXT, they make the nuclear reactors for the submarines. And you hadn't heard about any accidents, so apparently they know how to do it really well. Okay, that's a nuclear company that's a blue chip and makes money. And we got it into the portfolio and everybody loves it now. It may become overpriced and we may have to take some profit. But that's a good example. See, they're on this side of the check, right? Who's on the wrong side of the check? Debt-laden CoreWeave. Now, I could be wrong. They could go back and, triple because it's a crazy market. But CoreWeave is a good example of somebody that writes checks to build data centers. How long does it take to recoup that? I don't know. But if they're going to write checks, they better already be making money. One of the nuclear competitors to the one I just showed you before is worth $20 billion, and they have no sales, and they've lost money every year since they started, and people are just going crazy over stuff. The next correction is going to be a little severe, and we're preparing for it. Who's on this side of the check? Dell. Right? Round Rock, Texas-based Dell. And year-to-date return, 64%. That's pretty good. So our Dell is actually working out just fine. It's not a recommendation for your portfolio until you come down, get a written plan from McGowanGroup Wealth Management. I'm Spencer McGowan, your financial weatherman, and we would love to give you the office tour or meet you by Zoom. We'll update your plan, get it to you during that appointment, and you can decide if you want to work with us. And a lot of people, cherry pick the ideas from our videos, so that's why you want to subscribe. All right, and warnings are important too. Now, this is another example. Flowserve happens to be Irving-based, by the way. We're looking for an entry point on Flowserve. Things aren't going well for them. They're flat for the year, but they're a blue chip. They serve oil and gas, which is probably one of the reasons, because oil and gas getting pounded in October. Anyway, if you go to their website, you learn that they are in virtually every nuclear reactor because they do the pumps and the valves and the engineering. And that is a cheap blue chip that actually makes money. So we're waiting for an entry point there. That's just the example. Good news economically. Earnings growth so far. You got 10% of the S&P reporting. It's the big, arrogant banks that have reported mostly so far. Financials have great 21% gain. IT is just raging right now from the AI. So you got about a 16% growth there in earnings for the 10% of the S&P companies that have reported so far. That's actually good news, right? And it's expected to keep growing. What is the GDP growth? It is 3.8% right now. This is for the third quarter, the announcement that's coming. Atlanta Fed has been spot on. We always cover it here. That's why you want to come back. And what's this? Whoa, this is the ugly side of the economy. Job growth flat. It's kind of negative too. Well, you know, does that create a recession? We're watching that. Delinquencies. The headlines have been, this is the biggest delinquency rate. But if you look at the research there, this is actually the subprime market, right? So they're being salacious. Subprime, you've had two big industry bankruptcies in autos. First Brands makes parts, Tricolor that did lending, and they were Dallas-based too. Anyway, you've got record subprime delinquencies. That's bad. But the subprime market is usually a mess. Is it the canary in the coal mine? No. This is why you love McGowanGroup Wealth Management and you want them on your side because we actually do the research. Here is the delinquency index for the 2009 crisis, right? 3% is elevated. It's not unprecedented, and it's kind of leveled off this year. That's important to watch. The low is usually about 1.5%. So it is elevated. Some people are stretched, and you could see some anemic GDP numbers or even a negative quarter or two, and we'll bring it to you right here. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to serving your family right from the Crescent in Dallas. Thank you for tuning in today to Net Worth Media. We also have Apple Podcast. Simply type in Net Worth Radio and boom, it'll hit your phone right then. If you also go to networthradio.com on a browser, you're going to be able to meet the team. You can see our performance track record, the model portfolios that go with today's broadcast. Also at networthradio.com, the Longer Play podcast is available there as well. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, when we talk about a security, it doesn't make it a recommendation for your portfolio until we actually complete a written plan for you by Zoom or in office or simply a conference call. So you reach us at networthradio.com if you want to get that arranged. Market fluctuations and how to handle them. We build high cash flow portfolios, and past performance doesn't guarantee future results, so you do have to be ready for challenging markets. We can build more cash flow during challenging markets than we can when everybody's happy and everything's up, which is when we tend to raise tactical safety. Those allocation strategies are here at networthradio.com. Thank you for tuning in.